Los Angeles, a city that glows as the sun falls. Skyscrapers lit like distant constellations, freeways stretching in every direction, neon flickering like artificial stars. From above, it looks calm. From the streets, it feels alive. And at night, it hums with secrets. Our story begins in the heart of downtown, a block where the rhythm of the city changes, where hope and hardship collide. This is where the Cecil Hotel stands, tall, faded, a survivor of another era, its windows watching the endless flow of life below. But tonight, it's not the hotel's history we're here for. Not yet. Tonight, it's the mystery that unfolded within its walls. A disappearance that would spread across the world. A case that would ignite a million theories. A young woman checks in. Her name is Elisa Lam. 21. Student, traveler, dreamer. She has plans, and one of them is to see Los Angeles, to write about it, to experience it. But within days, she vanishes. Without a trace. No screams, no witnesses, no answers. Just questions, growing darker by the hour. Police arrive. Flyers go up. Search teams sweep the building, but nothing makes sense. Not yet. And then, the elevator video. The piece of evidence that would turn a missing person case into a worldwide mystery. Released to the public, it spreads instantly. Millions watch, millions rewatch, frame by frame. It becomes an obsession. In the grainy footage, Elisa enters an elevator. She presses multiple buttons. She steps out. She steps back in. She moves like she's avoiding someone or something. Her hands make delicate, drifting movements, like she's feeling the air. The elevator doors stay open, far longer than they should. And then, she disappears from frame. The doors finally close, and the world is left with one of the most unsettling and unexplained pieces of video ever released in a missing person case. Questions erupt online. Hundreds, thousands. Everything from technical explanations to conspiracies to paranormal speculation. People want answers. People want a story that makes sense. But nothing about this case seems to fit neatly into one. Because the truth, whatever it is, lives in a gray space between facts and the unknown. This is not just a mystery, it's a tragedy. A young woman disappeared, a family waited for her return, and the world turned her final known moments into an echoing question mark. We begin here, with the video, with the mystery, with the hotel, towering over the city like a silent witness. As night deepens over Los Angeles, its skyline still gleams, and below it, the Cecil Hotel sits in shadow. Inside, a story unfolds, one that has haunted millions. A story that begins with a young woman stepping into an elevator and never stepping out again. This is True Crime Unforgettable.
To understand the mystery, we begin with the person at its center. Elisa Lam, a young woman from Vancouver, Canada, the daughter of immigrants, a student with plans, ambition, and a mind full of ideas. She wrote, she read, she explored. Her Tumblr posts reveal someone introspective, thoughtful, often poetic, someone who felt deeply. She loved travel. She loved discovering cities, cultures, stories. She dreamed of more than routine. She wanted motion, experience, perspective. And so, in early 2013, she set out on a solo trip down the west coast of the United States. San Diego, Santa Cruz, Los Angeles. A journey meant to be liberating. A journey she shared with friends and family through messages and updates. Elisa was also open about her mental health. She had a bipolar disorder diagnosis, something she discussed with honesty. Like millions who live with it, she managed it with medication, treatment, and awareness. This is not the defining detail of her life, but it becomes an important part of understanding her final days. A detail that must be handled with respect, with humanity. When she arrived in Los Angeles, she checked in to the Cecil Hotel, a budget-friendly choice for travelers, a place with history, some of it dark, some of it simply old. She was assigned to a shared room at first, staying with other travelers. But within days, something changed. Other guests complained. Reports varied. Unsettling behavior. Inconsistent moods. Moments of agitation. Nothing violent, nothing dangerous, just strange. The hotel made a decision. Elisa would be moved to a private room. She continued exploring the city, writing messages home, visiting local spots. She went to bookstores. She walked downtown streets. She bought souvenirs. She spoke with shop owners and staff. She laughed, connected, lived. To many who spoke with her those days, she appeared friendly, calm, curious. But something, somewhere, shifted beneath the surface. On January 31st, Elisa was last seen inside the hotel. An employee at the front desk remembered her. Polite, soft-spoken, normal. And then she disappeared. Her family, expecting regular communication, sensed something was wrong immediately. When the messages stopped, worry began to grow. Calls went unanswered. Days passed. On February 1st, the day she was supposed to check out, Elisa didn't. She didn't pick up her belongings. She didn't return to her room. She didn't appear anywhere in the building. Her parents contacted the LAPD. The investigation began. The search intensified. Guests in the hotel noticed unusual things: low water pressure, strange discoloration, an odd taste. Housekeeping staff knocked on doors, walked the halls, changed sheets. They didn't know, couldn't know, that this case was already turning into one of the most discussed disappearances of the decade. Elisa's online presence, her writing, her photos, her thoughts, would soon be scrutinized by millions. Her words, once intimate, would be seen through the lens of tragedy. Every post interpreted, reinterpreted, analyzed for meaning. But here, in the calm before the storm, she was simply a young woman traveling alone, a person with hopes and struggles, a person trying to navigate the world and herself at the same time. Investigators began piecing together her movements, security footage, witness accounts, receipts, digital clues. A detective would later describe the case as slipping through fingers. Everything felt close, but nothing held. Days became a week. A week became 2. Flyers went up across the city. Information was shared online. The hotel was searched repeatedly. hallways, stairwells, common areas, all combed through. Still, Elisa remained missing. Then, the case took a sharp turn. Police decided to release a key piece of evidence, the elevator video, hoping the public might recognize the woman in it, hoping someone might come forward, hoping for anything that could break the silence. The video did more than bring attention. It ignited a global reaction. In the days before the video went viral, Elisa Lam was a missing student, a daughter, a traveler, a person. After the video, she became a mystery, a symbol, a puzzle the world tried desperately to solve. Before we go further, it's important to hold on to the truth behind all of this. Elisa was a real person with real struggles and real dreams. Not a character, not a myth. A human being caught in circumstances no one fully understood. And as the investigation deepened, so did the questions surrounding her disappearance. How did she vanish from a hotel full of guests? Where did she go? Why were there no signs of foul play? And why did her behavior in the final footage seem so disturbing, so unexplainable? These questions would only multiply as the search expanded. What began as a missing person case was about to break into two parallel worlds. The official investigation, methodical, grounded in procedure, and the unofficial one, millions of people online dissecting every frame, every quote, every clue. Both desperate for answers, both convinced there was more beneath the surface. As daylight poured over downtown Los Angeles, the Cecil Hotel stood unchanged. But inside, tension grew. Detectives moved from floor to floor. Hotel staff assisted where they could. Family members waited for news that never came. Every corridor, every room, every stairwell seemed to whisper fragments of the story. But none of them led to Elisa. Her parents in Canada clung to hope. They believed she would be found. They believed she would return. They believed someone somewhere knew something they hadn't shared. But days kept passing. Behind the scenes, investigators were already feeling the pressure. The public was asking questions. Online communities were gaining momentum. And the elevator video was about to explode into the mainstream in a way no one predicted. The case was shifting. The narrative was changing. In the days before the video's release, the hotel continued to operate as usual. Guests checked in, checked out, showered, slept, lived their lives, all unaware that in the building a mystery was deepening, a mystery about to take a dramatic turn. Soon, the public would see Elisa's final known moments. Soon, tens of millions would watch her in that elevator. Soon, every gesture, every movement, every second would be analyzed to exhaustion. And with each frame, the story would grow stranger. Part 2 closes with a pause just before the world sees what the detectives already saw. Before the internet becomes a force that shapes the investigation. Before the theories start multiplying. Elisa's life, her dreams, and her struggle are the foundation of this story. And next, we shift into the hours when she vanished. The timeline, the evidence, the last sightings, the moment the world realizes something is very, very wrong. This is where disappearance becomes mystery, and mystery becomes obsession. The days leading up to Elisa Lam's disappearance follow a timeline both precise and fragmented. Precise because we know her movements up to a point, fragmented because after that point, the trail dissolves into uncertainty. Let's walk through those final known hours. January 31st, 2013. Morning light fills downtown. Elisa wakes in her room. Nothing unusual is reported from hotel staff. She has plans, sightseeing, possibly shopping, perhaps exploring the city one last time before moving on to her next destination, Santa Cruz. She visits a bookstore called The Last Bookstore, a quiet place, a place she seems to enjoy. A staff member there remembers her clearly. She was buying gifts for family. She was talkative, friendly, seemingly in good spirits. That would be one of the final confirmed face-to-face interactions anyone outside the hotel had with her. After this moment, the timeline tightens. Back at the Cecil Hotel, Elisa returns to her room. Somewhere between her final outing and her last moments on camera, something changes. Her behavior becomes unpredictable to those who encounter her. Nothing violent, nothing that indicates danger, just unusual. Hotel staff later describe her as not herself. She sends what will become one of her last messages to her parents. They expect another one soon. They expect her to check out the next morning. They expect her to head to Santa Cruz. But after this point, silence. February 1st arrives. Checkout day. Elisa doesn't appear at the front desk. She doesn't collect her deposit. She doesn't pack her belongings. Her bed remains unmade. Her personal items are still in the room. Her medication, partially taken, remains there as well. A red flag.
When Elisa fails to contact her parents again, worry becomes alarm. They call the LAPD. They file a missing person report. Detectives arrive at the Cecil Hotel soon after. They begin to search.
The police check every floor. They look into stairwells, laundry rooms, shared spaces. They speak with staff and guests. They review footage, hours of it, days of it. But this is a massive building. Hundreds of rooms, multiple elevators, countless nooks, and unused spaces. Finding one person inside all of that isn't simple. For several days, nothing concrete emerges. No security footage captures her leaving the building. No witness recalls seeing her after the final day. No one hears anything suspicious in the hallways. No one reports a struggle, or shout, or cry. It's as though Elisa simply vanished inside the walls of the hotel. Detectives grow frustrated. Investigators comb through everything they can find. They interview employees who interacted with her. Some report odd behavior prior to the disappearance. Some recall moments when she seemed disoriented. But nothing suggests foul play. And yet, she's gone. By February 13th, the case reaches a tipping point. The police need help, public help. They decide to release the elevator video. This decision is made with the hope that someone watching might recognize her, might remember seeing her that day, might have information that could break the case open. They couldn't have predicted what would happen next. The video goes online, and instantly, it ignites. Viewers around the world hit play, and then replay, and then pause, and then analyze. The footage is odd, startling, unsettling. It doesn't show a clear threat. It doesn't show a second person. It doesn't show violence. But it shows behavior that seems off. So off that people begin to wonder if something or someone was in that hallway with her. The footage becomes the beating heart of the case. People ask, why is she stepping in and out of the elevator? Why is she making those gestures? Why isn't the elevator door closing? Why does the timestamp jump? Why does the footage feel edited? Questions spiral. Theories multiply. The internet becomes a detective. Meanwhile, the official timeline continues behind the scenes. Detectives check hotel records. They interview more guests. They search floors again, carefully, meticulously. They bring in canine units. Dogs sweep the building and the rooftop. But the rooftop search produces nothing. No scent, no clue, no sign Elisa was up there. And so, investigators focus on the interior, the rooms, the stairwells, the basement, the elevator banks. Still nothing. Theories begin to shape the narrative online. Was Elisa hiding from someone? Was she in a mental health crisis? Was she under the influence of something? Was someone following her? Was the elevator malfunctioning? None of these questions have clear answers. All of them fuel speculation. As more people watch, the more the video becomes a cultural phenomenon. It's dissected by armchair detectives, true crime forums, amateur analysts, and eventually major news outlets. But while the world watches the video, the police continue their search. Days pass, then weeks. The mystery deepens. Elisa's family remains desperate for answers. LAPD officers hold press conferences. They release more information. They plead for tips. The timeline tightens and stretches. The last known point of contact becomes the elevator. And after that, blank space. As February moves on, the hotel continues its normal operations. Guests check in and out. Maintenance workers respond to complaints. Staff members grow uneasy. The video has made the hotel the center of attention, a spotlight it never asked for. And then, something begins to change inside the building. Guests continue to complain about the water. Low pressure, an unusual taste, strange discoloration. Maintenance staff are sent to investigate the plumbing, unaware that these seemingly mundane complaints are tied directly to the missing person case. Detectives keep searching, but the building continues to hold its secret, and the timeline, increasingly thin, creates pressure from every direction: the public, the media, the family, and the unanswered questions. 11 days after the video's release, 20 days after her disappearance, and after countless theories erupted across the globe, everything changes. The timeline stops expanding outward. Instead, it collapses inward. All attention shifts to a single moment, a discovery, a location, a truth. But before we get to that, let's pause the timeline right here, between the elevator video and the moment everything breaks open. Because this is the point where the search should have uncovered something. This is the point where investigators walk the hallways, floors, stairwells, and rooftop. This is the point where many of the lingering questions begin. Why wasn't she found earlier? How did she remain hidden? What detail was missed?
The search for Elisa Lam deepens inside the Cecil Hotel. Detectives, officers, hotel staff, everyone is moving through corridors that seem endless. The building is a maze, old, layered, modified over decades, rooms added, floors remodeled, fire escapes zigzagging down the sides like broken ladders, hidden corners where the light never quite reaches. The Cecil is not just a hotel, it's an architectural puzzle. Police begin by sweeping the hallways again, room by room, door by door. They knock, they listen, they check. The building holds hundreds of potential hiding places, closets, storage spaces, maintenance rooms, stairwells that lead nowhere. Every search feels incomplete because the building itself feels endless. Detectives question the staff. Did she leave the building? No one saw her. Did she have visitors? We don't believe so. Did anything unusual happen that night? Nothing that stands out. There are no screams reported, no arguments overheard, no stranger sightings in the halls. It's a mystery that seems to have no entry point. Then comes the question that haunts the case. Could she be on the roof? The hotel rooftop is restricted. Access doors are locked and alarmed. Only staff hold the keys. The alarms were functioning according to hotel records, and yet investigators have no choice. They need to check. Officers climb to the rooftop levels. They push through the final stairwell door after disabling the alarm. Up there, the city sprawls in every direction. The night air is cold. Wind whistles through the antennas and metal structures. The skyline glimmers. And on the rooftop, there are 4 massive water tanks. Dark, industrial, towering. Police search the rooftop. They look around the tanks, check the perimeter, shine flashlights into shadowed corners. No sign of Elisa. They move closer to the water tanks. The lids appear closed. There's no visible disturbance, no ladder out of place, nothing to suggest a struggle or a break-in. And inside those massive tanks, no one looks. Not yet. Meanwhile, inside the hotel, the search continues. Detectives review more surveillance footage. They watch every hallway camera, every elevator feed, every entry point. But the Cecil's older infrastructure means not every floor is monitored. Blind spots exist everywhere. She could have moved through areas unseen, and that uncertainty becomes a key part of the mystery. While investigators work, the hotel's history begins to draw attention, a history that feels almost layered into its walls. It's a place known for tragedy, violence, darkness, stories that linger in whispers and headlines. The building has seen suicides, crimes, transients seeking shelter, and troubled souls passing through. Its reputation becomes a backdrop to Elisa's disappearance, a backdrop that fuels speculation but provides little actual evidence. Detectives find themselves wading through theories from the outside world, paranormal explanations, conspiracy threads, shadows caught on camera that look like figures, elevator malfunctions interpreted as something sinister. But none of these theories align with the tangible evidence. Still, the pressure grows. Inside the investigation, witness statements remain inconsistent. Some guests claim they heard something strange. Others say they saw Elisa after the last confirmed sighting. Some remember unusual behavior from the days before. But memory is fragile, and with the internet now influencing perceptions, stories become distorted. Everyone wants to help. Everyone wants to explain, but the truth stays hidden. Detectives return to the rooftop. They reassess the access points. The main door, locked and alarmed. No evidence of tampering. The fire escapes, possible but difficult. They require climbing from windows or ledges. It's not impossible, but it's risky. Was Elisa capable of doing it? Was she motivated to do it? Would she have attempted something so dangerous alone? These questions, without answers, become part of the story. The building's size complicates everything. Multiple wings, 2 elevator banks, basement levels, long hallways that bend around corners like tunnels. Every search leaves investigators wondering if they missed something.
Every lack of evidence feels unsettling. It's as if the hotel itself is swallowing clues. By mid-February, the media frenzy is overwhelming. Reporters swarm outside the building, camera crews fill the sidewalks, headlines grow bolder by the day. Disappearance at a notorious hotel. Mystery surrounds missing tourist. Elevator video haunts investigation. The world is watching, and the pressure on investigators intensifies. Still, the police continue methodically. They check vacant rooms, they look inside old storage areas, behind old mechanical equipment, in out-of-service sections. They check the fire escapes again. They talk with maintenance crews. They look at roof access points one more time. But everything returns the same conclusion. No sign of Elisa Lam. Then, the complaints from guests began to escalate. Dark water, strange taste, low pressure. These issues become more frequent, more urgent. Maintenance personnel are dispatched. They investigate pipes and valves. They check water lines. But to solve the problem, they need to go higher, up to the rooftop again. A maintenance worker climbs the stairs, unlocks the alarmed door, steps onto the roof. The wind whips across the concrete. The city hums below. He approaches the water tanks, massive, silent, elevated structures resting on concrete platforms. He's here to address a plumbing issue, nothing more. He climbs onto the platform, walks to one of the tanks. He checks the pipes. He listens. He tries to understand why the water flow is irregular. Then he notices something unusual. A tank lid is slightly ajar, not wide open, not obvious from a distance, just not fully sealed. He moves closer, lifts the lid, and everything changes. Inside the tank, he sees the outline of a body, floating, motionless. Elisa Lam has been found. The discovery travels quickly, down the rooftop stairs, through the hotel corridors, into the lobby, out onto the street where reporters stand waiting, to the investigators who have been searching for weeks, and finally, into the hearts of the people who loved her. The case, once a disappearance, is now something else entirely. Detectives arrive on the rooftop. They examine the scene. They assess the tank structure, its height, its metal sides, its heavy lid, its narrow inner chamber. The questions begin immediately. Questions that will fuel debate for years. How did she reach the tank? How did she get inside? How did the lid close? Why wasn't she found earlier? But at that moment, logic pauses because grief takes over. A young woman, missing for nearly 2 weeks, has been found in the most unexpected, hidden part of the hotel. A place few could access, a place even the search teams couldn't fully inspect. The rooftop becomes a crime scene. Officers secure the area, photos are taken, measurements recorded. The tank is drained, recovery crews prepared to retrieve the body with great care. The entire operation is delicate, difficult, painful. As night falls over Los Angeles, the investigation shifts dramatically. No longer searching for a missing person, now searching for answers. No longer scanning hallways for signs of life, now studying details for clues about what happened inside that tank.
The rooftop is sealed off. Yellow tape flutters in the wind. Detectives stand in clusters, somber, quiet, focused. The air feels heavier now. The search is over. Elisa Lam has been found, but the real work is just beginning. Recovery teams prepare to extract her body from the tank. It's a difficult process. The tank is tall, narrow, and filled with thousands of gallons of water. A team drains the tank partially. The workers approach with ropes and harnesses. They handle everything with care and respect. The silence is palpable. Once Elisa is removed from the tank, the investigation shifts immediately to the next stage, autopsy. The one place where science might offer clarity, where evidence might speak, where the truth, at last, may find a voice. At the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, pathologists begin their examination. The world waits for answers. The media waits. Her family waits. Online investigators wait. The police wait. Everyone wants to know what happened. Everyone wants closure. But the answers are not simple, not clean, not complete. The autopsy reveals no signs of physical trauma, no evidence of assault, no broken bones, no strangulation, no defensive wounds. There are no marks that indicate a struggle. Her body tells a story, but it's not one of violence. Toxicology comes next. Blood, urine, tissue samples, each tested carefully. Results take time, and while they're pending, speculation grows louder. Online forums buzz constantly. Some blame the hotel, some blame conspiracies, some believe the supernatural. Some think she was running from someone. But the medical results bring things into sharper focus. The toxicology report shows something important. Elisa's medication levels are lower than expected. Some medications are present in her system. Some are missing entirely. Some are at subtherapeutic levels. It suggests inconsistent dosing. It suggests she may not have been taking her medication as prescribed. For someone with bipolar disorder, this imbalance can have serious effects: disorientation, confusion, psychosis, erratic behavior, hallucinations. This is a crucial piece of the puzzle. The coroner's official ruling: accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. No evidence of homicide, no evidence of sexual assault, no evidence of physical trauma. Scientifically, medically, this is the conclusion. But emotionally, for many, it doesn't feel like an answer. Still, the autopsy explains much. Elisa drowned. She was alone. Her mental health played a role. Her medication imbalance likely contributed to her behavior. But some details remain confusing. The lid on the tank. Was it open or closed? Reports are mixed. Some staff say it was closed. Others say it was open. The maintenance worker who discovered her said he found it slightly ajar. This inconsistency fuels doubt. Then there's the question of access. The rooftop was locked, alarmed, restricted. Could Elisa have reached it alone? Yes, through the fire escape. Difficult? Risky, but possible. Could she have climbed into the tank? Yes, there's a ladder attached to the platform. The tank opening was large enough for a person to pass through. But getting inside voluntarily, that's harder to understand. And closing the lid afterwards, even more difficult. Yet, the autopsy finds no signs of anyone else at the scene. This duality, evidence pointing to an accidental drowning while circumstances remain puzzling, is what gives the case its haunting quality. The truth feels incomplete. The facts make sense in isolation. The mystery persists when viewed as a whole. Pathologists examine her internal organs. No substances detected that would explain the elevator video behavior. No illicit drugs.
no alcohol at significant levels, nothing toxic or foreign. What remains is her mental health condition, a factor often misunderstood, often stigmatized, often oversimplified. Elisa's bipolar disorder was real. Her challenges were real. Her vulnerability was real. And these realities must be approached with compassion, not sensationalism. Evidence supports the possibility of a crisis episode, a moment when her sense of reality slipped, a moment when fear or disorientation took over, a moment when her actions became unpredictable, even to herself. This could explain her behavior in the elevator. This could explain how she reached the rooftop. This could explain why she entered the water tank. Not with intention, not with clarity, but in a state of confusion. Still, some crucial questions stay unresolved. Why didn't search dogs pick up her scent? Why weren't the water tanks checked earlier? These unanswered gaps leave room for lingering doubt. The coroner's report completes its findings. Medical records are reviewed. Her history is documented. The final conclusion remains: accidental drowning. The LAPD closes the case. The file is marked complete. But for the public, for the millions who watched her last moments on video, closure doesn't come so easily. Online theories intensify. Some challenge the toxicology findings. Some question the rooftop security. Some insist the elevator footage is edited. Some connect dots that were never meant to be connected. And others point to the simplest explanation: a tragic accident fueled by a mental health crisis in a building with poor visibility and many hidden spaces. But emotionally, the simplest explanation feels unsatisfactory. Because grief isn't logical, mystery isn't straightforward, and human tragedy rarely fits into a single narrative. The case is officially solved, but not fully understood. And that space between solved and understood is where this story continues to haunt people. Investigators close the file. Evidence is stored. The rooftop quiets. Elisa's body is released to her family for burial. The story should end here, but it doesn't. Because the world keeps asking questions. Because details stay strange. Because curiosity fills the gaps that certainty cannot.
The discovery, the autopsy, the official ruling. They should have closed the case, but instead, they opened 1,000 new questions. Because while the coroner's report labeled Elisa Lam's death an accidental drowning, the world couldn't shake the details that didn't quite align. The rooftop access, the elevator video, the tank lid, the timing, the behavior. And so the theories began, some grounded in psychology and evidence, others drifting far from it. Let's separate the noise from the possible. Theory 1, a mental health crisis. This is the most grounded, evidence-supported explanation. Elisa had bipolar disorder. Her medication levels were inconsistent. Her behavior in the elevator video reflected confusion, disorientation, distress. Experts have weighed in on this footage. Psychologists explain that manic episodes can include hallucinations, paranoia, fear, rapid changes in emotional state, lack of inhibition, disorganized movement. Seen through this lens, the elevator video takes on a different tone. Not supernatural, not targeted by an unseen threat, but a young woman in crisis. This theory aligns with toxicology results, her known diagnosis, and behaviors noticed by hotel guests before she disappeared. Theory 2. Elevator malfunction. Another widely discussed angle. Viewers noticed how the elevator stayed open longer than expected. Button presses didn't seem to trigger movement. Doors remained motionless. Online communities speculated something was wrong with the elevator itself. Elevator technicians later explained that this particular model had a door hold button. If pressed, it keeps the door open for a longer interval, sometimes significantly longer. Additionally, the camera angle is fisheye, distorting distance and movement. The timestamp on the released footage was partially removed to protect other guests' privacy, creating the illusion of missing time or editing. This theory doesn't explain everything, but it clears up some misconceptions. Theory 3. A hotel cover-up. This theory spread rapidly online. The Cecil Hotel's troubled history made it seem plausible to some. A place with many incidents over decades, a place already famous for tragedy, a place in a part of the city where crime is not uncommon. But investigators found no evidence of staff involvement, no motive, no suspicious interactions, no signs of concealment, no tampering with surveillance systems. The hotel cooperated with the investigation, according to police reports. Their staff assisted in searches. They allowed access to records. The theory arises from distrust in institutions, in systems, in narratives that feel incomplete. But evidence doesn't support a deliberate cover-up. Theory 4. A third party or stalker. A terrifying possibility. A stranger, a pursuer, someone watching her, someone following. But this theory dissolves under scrutiny. No evidence of forced entry, no signs of struggle, no bruising consistent with restraint, no DNA from another person, no marks on her body, no testimony placing a suspicious individual near her. The elevator footage shows only Elisa, no one following her in or out of frame. While it's natural to imagine a second person in a case like this, the investigation found nothing to suggest it occurred. Theory 5. The paranormal. This theory gained traction because of the elevator video. Her movements, her gestures, the door that stays open, the eerie atmosphere. But when experts analyze the footage, explanations become more mundane. Camera distortion, stress, fear, altered perception. In a building with a haunted reputation, supernatural speculation was almost inevitable, but it offers no answers grounded in evidence. Theory 6. Accidental drowning. The official explanation. Elisa accessed the roof alone. She entered the water tank voluntarily or in confusion. She couldn't get out. This explanation fits the autopsy, it fits the toxicology, it fits the lack of physical trauma, it fits the lack of other DNA. It fits her mental health condition and the challenges it can create when unmedicated or undermedicated. But emotionally, this explanation still feels incomplete to many, because people want a narrative that makes sense. And a tragedy involving an unpredictable crisis feels random. It feels unexplainable. It feels unsatisfying. The gap between fact and feeling. Here's the truth. Facts and feelings are not the same. Facts say, Elisa drowned. She was alone. Her bipolar disorder contributed to her actions. Her medication imbalance may have triggered confusion. No one harmed her. No one pursued her. Feelings say, something is off. Something doesn't add up. Something still feels wrong. And when feelings collide with facts,
mysteries bloom. Why the case sparked obsession. Theories erupted for a few key reasons. 1. The elevator footage. Unsettling, ambiguous, viral. 2. The hotel's reputation. Infamous history that frames everything in a darker light. 3. Gaps in the timeline. Points where evidence goes silent. 4. Inconsistent details, especially about the water tank lid and rooftop access. 5. Internet culture. Millions working in parallel, searching for meaning. People weren't just analyzing a case, they were emotionally invested in a mystery with no satisfying dramatic villain. So imaginations filled the void. Expert analysis. Psychologists, forensic specialists, criminologists, and elevator engineers all have weighed in. Their consensus aligns more with the official ruling than the theories. Mental health experts see signs of crisis in the video. Forensic pathologists confirm the absence of foul play. Elevator technicians explain the door behavior. Investigators confirm rooftop access was possible. But even with expert breakdowns, the collective mind of the internet continues to explore every shadow. The human element. Elisa was vulnerable, traveling alone, in a building with an overwhelming environment, with a medical condition that requires strict medication balance. Her final days were a collision of stress, instability, and confusion. Theories may try to simplify or dramatize it, but human reality is rarely simple. Why the theories persist? Because the case resolved on paper, not in hearts. Because tragedy without clear cause invites invention. Because uncertainty is uncomfortable. Because people crave answers that feel absolute. Even today, some believe there was more to the story. Even today, some theories remain popular despite being debunked. Even today, the elevator video is watched, rewatched, analyzed, interpreted, and every viewer sees something different. But through all the theories, one truth must stay central. Elisa Lam was a real person, not a puzzle piece, not a character in a horror story, not a symbol for conspiracy. She was a young woman navigating mental health challenges in an unfamiliar city, and her death is a tragedy, not a myth.
As we step out of the theories, we approach the human cost, the impact on her family, the impact on the community, the rise of online detectives, the ethical questions about public obsession, the hotel's future, the legacy of the case. Because what happened after her discovery is a story of grief, reflection, and a lasting shadow.
The rooftop is quiet now. The lights are gone. The crime scene tape has been removed. Detectives have moved on to other cases. But what happened at the Cecil Hotel in early 2013 didn't disappear with the investigation's close. For many, it was only the beginning. For Elisa's family, the aftermath was grief, deep, private, immeasurable. They had to face the reality no parent should endure. Their daughter would not be returning home. Her journey ended far from them. Her story became public in ways they never expected. And even as news spread, as theories multiplied, they held on to her memory. Not the viral video, not the speculation, not the tragedy, but who she truly was. A bright young woman, thoughtful, curious, kind. For the community around the case, the investigators, hotel staff, and those who followed the story, it left a mark. Police officers spoke about how difficult the search had been, how the building's complexity challenged them at every turn, how frustrating it was that answers came too late. Hotel workers carried the weight of knowing she had been so close the entire time, just feet above the guests, in the place no one thought to look soon enough. And then there was the public, millions drawn into the mystery, millions captivated by the elevator video, millions searching for meaning. The rise of internet detectives became a defining part of this story. True crime content was evolving. Forums, blogs, YouTube channels, all dissecting clues, sharing theories, building timelines. People felt connected to the investigation in a way that was both powerful and potentially harmful. Because with that connection came something else: speculation, accusation, misinterpretation. Strangers became suspects. Hotel staff were scrutinized. Online creators pieced together details in ways that blurred the line between fact and imagination. It raised an important question: where is the line between curiosity and intrusion? Elisa's case became a turning point in discussions about mental health. Her struggles were amplified, often misunderstood, sometimes exploited. But they also opened conversations about empathy, about support systems, about how invisible these challenges can be, even to those closest to us. Experts encouraged people to see the human behind the headlines, to understand that mental illness is not a narrative twist, but a part of lived experience. The Cecil Hotel, long known for its troubled past, underwent changes: rebranding, renovation, a new name, a new identity. But the echoes of its history remain, woven into the building's legacy, not because of ghosts or curses, but because of the vulnerable people who passed through its doors. Elisa Lam's story became a symbol not of mystery, but of compassion. Today, the case feels resolved, yet incomplete. The official conclusion stands: accidental drowning, with mental health as a significant factor. But emotionally, the story lingers, because some questions don't have satisfying answers, because tragedy doesn't always unfold neatly, because the footage remains haunting, not just for what it shows, but for what we can't see. For many, the mystery remains unresolved, not in the evidence, but in the heart. Why did she walk into that elevator? Why did she go to the roof? What was she feeling? What was she thinking? Some answers are lost with her. But perhaps the deepest truth in this story isn't about the mystery. It's about humanity. Elisa's life mattered. Her voice mattered. Her struggles mattered. And the conversations sparked by her passing about mental health, about empathy, about the way we engage with true crime, those conversations continue. We remember her not as a case file, not as a symbol of the unexplained, but as a person whose life touched many, even those who never knew her. And as the episode draws to a close, we return to where it began: Los Angeles, nighttime. Lights twinkling like scattered stars, the skyline glowing above the darkness. A city full of stories, some known, some unhidden, some unsolved. Elisa Lam's story belongs to them now, a reminder that some mysteries remain haunting not because of what happened, but because of what we cannot fully explain. Her story deserves to be remembered not just for the mystery, but for the person behind it. And if this episode moved you, share it. Because the more people who hear her story, the more understanding, empathy, and awareness we bring into the world. This is True Crime Unforgettable.
The Disappearance of Elisa Lam. And this is the end of our episode.